All right, we are live on all platforms. I love that I can go live on all platforms so easily with StreamYard. By the way, I'm not an affiliate or anything with them. I might be down the line because I think they're really cool. But yeah, I just love this tool. It's awesome. So yesterday, I decided that I'm going to create a blog post for every single, not for every single, for the QTable component. And I'm going to do one every day this week, basically covering different aspects of it. And so I've kind of laid out what this is going to be about. And I thought, hey, why don't I live stream myself working on this? So here we are. Let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing, I've actually already done this section here, some basic examples there. So now we're going to go down to doing some examples for this section. I'm not actually going to be writing the blog post. I find that if I do all of the examples, the blog post practically writes itself. So let me just bring this over here, which is the examples. So I've done some basic examples to begin with in that first section. And yeah, I'll probably like copy this bit of code here because it's going to be helpful because it's kind of like how the page is laid out. And let's just go to the index here. And the next one I'm going to do is the second blog post, which is expandable rows and selectable rows. So it's that one there. Let's open it up here. We can close off the console there. Whack this section in there. And that's about it. This is where our actual content is going to go. And yeah, I think we're ready to get started. Let me just test if that is the right spot. Maybe that isn't the right spot. Expandable rows and selectable. Is that the one I chose? Yeah. All right, there we go. We've already hit a snag. I'm saving that and it's not changing. Oh, no, it is changing something. Maybe it's because this server's been running like all night long. I forgot to turn my computer off last night. So let's give that a go and see if that fixes things up. Give it a second to run. Oh, it's going to auto open as well. I hate that. Actually, I'll leave it enabled though, because some people do like it. I hate it when it automatically opens the browser window. I'd rather just control click it, which is how I usually set up my projects. There we go. Yeah, okay, so nothing's showing up there. The next thing I'm going to do is jump into the routes file. There's a good chance that I haven't lined these up properly with the right components. Expandable, selectable rows. Yeah, that seems to be right. Expandable rows. All right, so then this might actually be working, but for some reason it's not actually displaying. So let's see what happens if I come down here and say beep. All right, so for some reason that's working now. Yeah, okay, so I'm guessing it'll work when I actually use the QTable component. Yep. All right, cool. So we want to do expandable rows and selectable rows. In fact, I might invert that and make it selectable rows and then expandable rows, since selectables are a little bit easier to do than the expandable ones. So let's start with the easiest thing first. And we'll jump over to the Quasar docs and then just start hacking away at this. I'm probably just going to start with their example because they tend to have really good examples. Selection, here it is here. The property row key must be set in order for selection to work properly. So I'm going to quickly add that into my notes. Need row key. Throw that back down there. And then we'll come up here and we'll say row dash key. And usually that's going to be something like ID. So I'm going to set that equal to ID. Now, we want the data as well. So let's go back to our previous example because I want to keep these examples as consistent as possible. And they're the columns. We actually want the rows here. Let's just grab all of those rows, or two of them. And then this time we're going to add an ID in as well. So we'll say the ID is equal to 1. And then for Lily, we'll change that equal to 2. All right, so we've got the row key set up properly. What else? Well, let's have a look at the example. We want to say selection is equal to single. So we've obviously got single and multiple, so I'll make sure that I say that. Boa noite. What does that mean? I don't think I speak that language. But I would like to know what it means. So what am I doing? So we've got selection is equal to single, and we've also got selection is equal to multiple, I believe. So we'll probably show both of those examples. Or if it is basic, if it is as simple as changing it, then I won't show both. I'll just let them know that you can do it. So let's come in here and we'll say single. I know it's selection single, wasn't it? And there we go. So now that's working, but we actually have to model something that we're selecting, I'm guessing. So let's come through here and go back to that selection section. Okay, model selected. This is one of the great things about View 3, that you can model things nicely like that. So come back over here, and I will say v-model selected, and then we'll say selected. That makes sense to me. Then we'll do setup here, and then we can return. Oh, Brazil, awesome. There's a lot of people in the Quasar community from Brazil, which is awesome. Ref from view. And so we'll come in here and we'll set that selection. Man, it's a little bit early in the morning here. My fingers are really cold. It's hard to type when your fingers are cold. It's a weird experience. So we'll set that to just nothing by default, and then we'll expose it here. That might be all that we need to do. Oh, it looks like it's not. Did I do that right? Selected. Did I say selection? No, selected. That actually does make more sense. Quickly refresh the page and see if that helps. Boom. And that should be single selection. So that's working now. And I think I'll add to this example a pre-tag, just so it's really easy to display the data. Selected, save it. And there we go. We can see what has been selected. So that's a really nice example, I think. It shows how basic it is to get up and running using selected there. So we'll say here, I won't do another example. I'm a bit weary of adding too many examples when you're only changing one thing. So for multiple selection, I will just simply tell them that you can do multiple. And that's about it for selection. I don't think there's actually much more to it that I want to show here. We'll see if there is anything that's like sort of fundamental. So then we know that we need a row key. Is there anything weird going on in the script tag? No, that's all fine. Then they've got multiple selection, custom multiple selection. All right, so then we want to let them know, we probably do want to let them know about the selection cell slot. Oh, that's a super basic example. So let's go with that. Yeah, cool. I love this. So what I'll do is we'll say we'll call this a standard selection. And then we can say advanced selection. Maybe we'll do that. Or customizing the selection component. Yeah, I think that's good. So we'll do the exact same example again. And we'll come down here. But this time, we're going to have those slots in place. All right, and this might be a good time to start modeling the data now. I don't know, should this be in the data property, or should we keep it simple by showing it in the component? I think I'll actually keep it in the component. I do prefer that because it makes it easy for the person, you know, especially new people. They don't want to be jumping around everywhere. So I think if they're looking at it inside of the component, it'll be easier for them to understand. So let's stick with that. Okay, so let's go back to this. Yeah, let's come down here and now start using this more custom example. We might be able to just copy paste that directly in. Let's see what we get. So that's the header selection. All right, that works nicely. Now this pre-tag, we might just put a pre-tag at the bottom of all of the examples. Let's do this. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that it doesn't kind of like mess around with the page layout. Yeah, there we go. It's kind of easier to play around with now. Cool. All right, so that's selection with a table. It works so nicely. I'm impressed with how Quasar has covered this kind of stuff. What next? So do we want to change anything in this example? So basically, we're just showing that you can use a toggle and you grab selected out of the scope. No, I think this example is perfect. I wouldn't change it at all. And it means that when they go to the docs, they can say, oh, cool, this is an example that I'm used to and I understand. So I like that. So that's selection. Let's move on to expandable rows. And in fact, I might actually put this in a separate page just so people can more easily navigate these examples. So how about this? We'll say We'll get rid of standard selection there. Let's just duplicate this page and call it selectable. No, selectable is what we just did. So we'll do expandable rows. Then I'll come back to that component and we'll rename it to selectable rows. Let's see if it can actually fix that up for me. Oh, no, it didn't. That's fine. Now, if we jump into routes.js, let's change this from expandable rows to selectable rows. And then we'll come over here and we'll change that to selectable rows. Okay, it's already been changed. So it's selectable rows. And then this is going to be expandable rows, expandable rows. Hopefully I've spelled that correctly. And now let's go to expandable rows and see if that works. It does. And then selectable rows. Oh, I spelled that wrong. I don't want my hands up. Blech. Okay, so that's also working too. So now that we've got those two pages, I want to make sure that they're being referenced properly on the index. So let's just come down here. Really, this data should be sitting in one place and I should be reusing it. So that's a refactor that we'll definitely consider. So let's say, what do we do first? We did selectable first, and then we will do expandable. So let's say here, selectable rows. Maybe turn this into a capital R, and then expandable rows, and then we're almost ready to move on. Save that. And if we go to the index, we definitely need some sort of a better navigation system, obviously. This will do for now. Selectable rows works, expandable rows works. Okay, so let's jump into expandable rows now, and we can start playing around with this. So we'll delete most of what we currently have, and we'll leave in standard selection, but we'll get rid of the selection related stuff. And we're just going to give a basic expandable example. I might give two examples. If I can get away with doing one example, I would rather do that. Once again, I prefer simplicity with blog posts. They can get a little bit lengthy and difficult to sort of comprehend sometimes. So I think there's like an expanded, they'll have a part in the docs here. I'd rather just base it on the docs. Here we go, expanding rows. Let's see how they do it here. So I think once again, we're going to need the row key. So if you generate more than one. All right, so that might not be relevant enough. So I might not mention that. And this seems to be where all of the magic happens. So I want to break this down and maybe see if I can simplify it a little bit. So that's our normal table row there. And then you can see here, this is where we're saying, hey, are you expanded? If you are, show this row. And then here is the button that comes in here and sets expanded equal to true. Now, is there anything on the table itself? No, you don't have to do anything on the table to get this to work. It's actually quite basic. You're just dealing with slots here. So let's go ahead and copy this. And we'll basically customize this example to fit our needs. All right. So we might just name this expandable row. And let's come down here. I'm going to get rid of a lot of what's going on here just to simplify it. And then I'll start doing my own example. We might change these icons, but we'll think about that in a second. In fact, I might just leave it as an add icon. Actually, no, add n minus probably works well. Yeah, let's go with that. And then they're iterating over every column and spitting out the value. Now, I haven't actually described this yet, so I don't know about that. It's probably the easiest way to get this example up and running, though. So, yeah, I guess we will stick with that. Then underneath there, we have the table row. Col span 100%, I can explain what's going on there. So how about we add that to the notes, because this is really handy knowing about that col span, which basically makes it it's how you make it the full row. And let's say expanded here. And there we go. That's a very basic example that's sort of up and running. And what I might do is I do want to make it look kind of pretty. So let's come in here and we'll say flat and round. That's probably good. Yeah. And there we go. So that, I don't know, what do you think? I think that's a pretty basic example. Is there anything else I can cull here? What's this auto width? Is that really, tries to shrink column width size? Okay, so I'll mention auto width as well. I'm going to add that into my notes. And let's just copy what they've written in there. But I actually have a better idea of what auto width is when I'm writing this post. Yeah, all right. I think that's just about it for that component. I don't know. Is there anything else I should go over? I guess we'll do one example like that, but then we'll do another example showing, so you can show that you can just put data in here, but then you can have like a breakdown of that data in there as well. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's copy this table. Expandable row. And then we'll do another one that is an expandable row. What am I going to say here? I basically want to say that these are going to be cells. Cells, I guess. I don't know. And then basically we'll come down here and we'll spit these out again just to sort of demonstrate that you can sort of show the cells in there. But you would need an extra cell, Q-TD, which is going to be like where that button was. Yeah, there we go. And then you could say here, instead of like col.value, you could say like, I don't know, data breakdown. Yeah, and then you can let them know that you could do this to basically say, like, this is a breakdown of that data from within here. Yeah, is that a good example? I think that's a pretty good example, and they can imagine putting whatever they want into those breakdowns. But I think that's about it. So that covers that part of the blog. That covers that second blog post. Let's have a look at the next one. So next we've got loading state, pagination, and sorting. So let's do a few examples for those. Loading state. And once again, I think I'm going to follow that pattern of having a different page for each of these concepts. So let's duplicate that, and we'll call it loading. We'll call this pagination. And then let's duplicate pagination, and we'll call it sorting. There you go. So we've got those pages now, and we'll rename this one to just loading state. That's good. Okay. And then let's go into our routes file and fix this up. So we've got two more there. That we have loading state, we have pagination, and we have sorting. Get rid of this source page part. We don't need it because we do actually have a reference to pages. And that's going to open those individual pages now. So let's call this pagination. And then this one, we called it sorting. And then we actually need to reference those within our index.view file. So let's come in here, loading state, pagination, sorting. Here we go. And then we just need to name all of this. And now we can give that a capital P. And then we'll do sorting. Cool. All right, I think that's it. Let's see if all of those work out okay. We'll jump out of full screen there. Whoop, I'm on the wrong page. Jump out of full screen, and let's take a look and see if that actually works. We'll jump into index now. Loading state, that works. Pagination works, and sorting works. All right, so let's begin with loading state. Loading state. And we'll take a look at how Quasar is using it in the docs and create our own example. All right, so that's a very basic example where we're just showing that it gets that little thing that goes left and right. So let's say Q-table. We want to use what we had before, actually, this section here. So, and then we'll close off that div and we'll throw it in there. This just spaces things nicely. Q-table. And then we can say loading is equal to true. And once again, we're going to use that example that everyone will be used to now. So we'll copy that. And we'll whack it in there, save it. Let's see how this works out. And there we go. We've got a good loading state example up and running. Now, there's probably nothing else we need to show there. I'll let them know that basically you toggle this to true if it's loading and then false if it's, when it's done. That's kind of obvious stuff. I'm pretty sure devs will understand what that's all about. And so let's see if there's anything more advanced with loading state. Yeah, obviously there's a custom loading state. How do they do that example? All right, that's an interesting example. I like that. They just simply use the inner loader. And that's kind of good because you can say, hey, this is something that you can't touch while it's loading. So yeah, let's do that as an example as well. We'll say here, Q-table. We'll throw that directly in there, and then we'll throw this data, actually all of this directly inside of there. I love my linter. I can just do crap like that, save it, and it just works. Yeah, and now I can't actually click on anything over this. So that's really, really handy. I like that. We'll call this one basic loading state. Loading state. And then we'll call this one inner loading state. Untouchable. Cool. So that's about it for loading. All right, that's going to be super easy to blog about. Basic pagination. So let's jump into pagination now. And I want to do basic pagination, and I also want to demonstrate server-side pagination. And so in order to do that, I might actually have to use some sort of an API that I'll create in order to make it work properly. Or maybe I can use the typicode one. See if they've got pagination in their API. Fingers crossed they do, but they might not. So if I go to that, I get posts. And I get no pagination data. Anything with pagination? No. All right, so I'm probably going to have to create something myself there. That's all right. All right, so let's just do a basic pagination example. And in order to do that, we'll do an example with lots and lots of data. Okay, let me think about this. We could use the typicode API to get a whole bunch of blog posts and then just show the default pagination we get there. I think that's a great idea, actually. To show, just to sort of, we're getting a bit more into the article now so we can show more advanced concepts. So let's come in here and say setup, and we'll do something really basic. We'll need a ref here. So let's import ref from view. Actually, I think my auto importing for ref is working now. So let's have a look at that. I might have to do define component here. Let's just see if it works. Ref. No, that doesn't work. But I think if I do this, import define component from view, and then we use that, I might be able to actually get that typed into, which helps a lot. Nah. Okay, in some of my other projects, this is working, and so I'll have to look into how I can get that working in my editor. If anyone knows, send me a comment, and I can go ahead and get that working, because it's really frustrating that I have to type that in every single time. Anywho, so let's come down here and we'll return whatever that data is going to be. So let's say posts ref, we'll say const post is equal to a ref, and by default that's going to be an empty array. Have I done spelled this wrong? Cool. And then we can come down here and, oh, bugger, we're not using Axios. Can I use fetch? Oh, man, I don't really want to go through that crap. Everybody's using Axios anyway. You know what? We'll just require it. It's going to be super simple. We'll say yarn add Axios. And I'm going to come in here to my notes and let them know that I am adding an Axios there. We'll do it. How about done add Axios? I need a better way of taking notes rather than just a plain file. I thought it would do, but my note taking has kind of expanded now. So now we can come in here and say import Axios from Axios, and then we'll say Axios.get, and then we're going to use that type code endpoint to get some fake data there. Or is it? We just want posts. Here we go. That's the endpoint. Like that's over here. We're going to get that, and then I'll say .then taking the response, and then we'll say post .value. Don't forget the .value is equal to response.data. And I think that's pretty much it. We're going to have all of our posts. And now let's come in here and just say, once again, let's take this section here. So we get a little bit of styling there. And then we can close that out. And I'll say here, Q-table. We want to set the rows equal to the post. In fact, why don't we show in this example loading? We might as well just like give a more complete example here. I think people will like that and appreciate it. So we'll just say const loading is equal to a ref that's equal to false by default. And then when this is done, loading is equal to true. But the better way to do this is actually to say dot finally. And then we can say loading dot value is equal to true, just in case there's an error there. It means that that loading spinner is going to stop. And then this is going to be whether or not loading is on. And now we want to go back to that home page. So let's make, you know what, let's go to the layout here, main layout. And we'll make it so that clicking on this takes you somewhere. Does QTable allow you to change the tag? I don't know. Let's change that to an A tag, see if that works. Doesn't look like it did. That's all right. Let's just put this inside of a tag. A tag, and then the reference is just going to be slash. And we get the shitty styling. Oh, I have to deal with removing that styling. What if I do slash and then hashtag? I think sometimes that actually removes the styling. No. Okay, so best way to do this. Surprisingly not simple. Well, let's just look it up. Remove CSS link styling. Hyperlinks. Text decoration, none. Looks like that might be the only thing I need. So let's come in here and say style is equal to text dash decoration none. Yeah, and then we want to set the color as well. So we can just come in here and say class is equal to text dash color, and no, not text dash color. So text dash gray 9. Let's go with that. Yeah, it's more of a white color, isn't it? Let's just go text dash white. All right, problem solved. Now I can easily go back to the menu. Cool. Moving on. Hide that. So we got loading here. This needs to be exposed, which is why I'm getting that squiggly underline there. And we are on the pagination example. That didn't work, did it? Is finally not getting called there? What's going on there? Let's refresh it and see what happens. Loading.value. Oh, I'm setting it to true. Makes no sense, does it? False. There we go. It was a little bit too quick. So, you know what? It doesn't matter. I should probably just prove it to myself that this works, though. Let's go slow 3G, refresh this page, and wait for the next 5 hours for this to work. Oh, it's false by default. That should be true by default. I thought something looked like it wasn't working properly. So let's save that. Maybe we'll go to fast 3G, refresh this page, for a second, it's loading, and then it's done. All right, cool. And this might be a good opportunity to show that we can change the color of that loader as well. So let's come in here and say color is equal to primary, maybe. I think that'll actually change the color of the loader. Come in here again. And you know what, just to test it, we'll set that equal to true. Yeah. Maybe we'll try secondary. Yeah, cool. Or, you know what, let's do something purple. I want to show off some of the quasar colors here. Yeah, all right, so I'm happy with that. Oh, actually, that looks terrible. Let's go with secondary. Yeah, cool. All right, so that's working. What else do we want to show? So that's just going to show basic pagination. And in this example, it's probably a good idea to not do that width. So let's get rid of this max width of 650. We might even remove the max width entirely. Now I can full screen that, and we can see the whole thing with the title and the body, and we can flick between them. We can say how many records per page. Let's bring it down to 50. There we go. We still got 2 pages. Yeah, this is a great example. This is perfect. So now that that's working, what else have I got on my list? Let's have a look here. Basic pagination, server-side pagination. All right, that one's going to be a little bit more difficult. What's the time? Might need to start work soon, so we might not have time for this. 9:01. All right, so I'm gonna leave it there. Next, I need to figure out a way I can do server-side pagination easily. It has to be easy for people to replicate. If people can't replicate it, they're not going to enjoy the blog post. And I think it's very important that they can say, you know, just do a copy and paste and then start playing around with it. That's important for me in a blog post. I hate it when there's blog posts where they're using stuff that I can't actually like dig into and mess around with easily. And it also means they can just download this example and everything will just work. I don't have to do my own back-end server that they have to run as well. We want to keep it super basic. So if I actually have to go ahead and build my own server with pagination, I'm going to go ahead and put the effort into doing that. But yeah, thanks for watching this live stream. And check out quasarcomponents.com. That's where basically I'm going to show you how to use all 72 of Quasar's components. It won't be like this live stream. They'll be like sort of cleaner videos. And I put a lot of effort and time into making sure that I cover as much as possible in these videos without super overwhelming people, so that you're ready to get started with all of Quasar's components. And by the way, all the profits of that go directly to help with the development of Quasar. So definitely check out quasarcomponents.com. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in another live stream. Bye for now.